Good morning. The world institutions, the international institutions, have a certain role to play. But do they play it? If we remember particularly the peacekeeping organizations, the latest being the United Nations, we have a history of their going fail. They are having failed miserably. League of Nations, established after the First World War, failed, and failed because US was not a member. So second time, after the Second World War, having learned from experience, the world powers prevailed on US to be a member, and US became a prime member, funding maximum for the upkeep of this monolith called United Nations Organization that was essentially meant to keep peace, to be an arbitrator, not a judge. But the role of the UN has always been suspect. At one time, till very recently, it was nothing but a slave of the wishes and the whims of the United States of America. As a matter of fact, US and UN were practically synonyms. There's a fight in Korea and the UN decides that it will raise its own force and fight. Until date, the peace treaty between UN and North Korea has not been signed. And amazingly in this fight, the maximum strength, the maximum contribution was of the United States of America. When Bush had to fight in 1991, the Gulf War again, UN was invoked to fight a war. So the peacekeeping organizations became second arm of United States of America. Not only to keep peace, but to fight. This was a negation of the role originally envisaged. And then host of the branches of the UNO came into being. They dealt with environment, they dealt with economy, they dealt with the human issues, gender issues, name it, and they are myriad, and they called UNDP, UNEF, UNIDO, UNESCO, name it, and you can have a full compendium of the acronyms that became a part of this monolith. And people used to think that UN is an honest broker. But India realized it way back in 1948 when they said it's not acceptable. And the group of United Nations for Kashmir stayed in Rawalpindi and in Delhi for a long time, just earning their salaries. Then came the second part, the peacekeeping part. They'll collect army, and the countries like India and Canada contributed majority of the times. And all those peacekeeping missions, Congo for the first time. And then in diverse countries, they went there. Did they keep peace? No. They were embroiled in sexual depredations. There were two aspects of the work of the United Nations and peacekeeping. One was to show off what the reality was not, and the other was real. But all the time, United Nations was a handmaid of the United States of America. And now, what happened yesterday is an absolute reversal of history. It has become an instrument to criticize US. Because at that time, in 1945, when the UN was established, no other country was able even to sustain itself. And USA, through its Marshall Plan, was supporting Europe and also Russia. China was nowhere in the picture. So practically all the countries were dependent on the largest and the charity of United States. So accepted the hegemony of United States of America. That political and economic situation is long past. Today there are economies which may not be as big as USA's, but they are no less as well, and USA is, as a matter of fact, one of the biggest debtors in the world. So that being so, USA yesterday had to use its veto power to ward off a resolution which it never wanted, and it would have been critical of USA. Now, there are two aspects of that. A, is UNO a supranational body, or is it meant for keeping peace? If it's meant for keeping peace, then it can discuss, negotiate, arbitrate, do whatever it loves. But this resolution with Nikki Haley said is practically an indictment of USA, is a direct interference in the national sovereignty of any country. It is just like saying, the resolution said that it cancels the decision, or the rescinds the decision of President Trump in accepting Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Now, as for the capital of Israel is concerned, all the organs of the state of Israel, the parliament called Knesset, the president, the prime minister, the highest courts, and all the major offices are in Jerusalem. So that's the capital. Now, there are two things. A, when a nation controls a city and makes that city its capital, then there's no dispute about that. And if there's a dispute, there can be negotiations. But even in law, possession is 9/10 of ownership. And nobody disputes as far as the West Jerusalem is concerned. And USA has, in fact, by accepting Jerusalem as the capital, simply accepted a fait accompli, a fact. It was a de jure capital, and no, rather, it was a de facto capital, and USA said, well, since it's de facto, let it be de jure as well. Secondly, Trump had done nothing but to accept a law passed by the Congress in 1995 accepting Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and asking the president to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Now, it's an anomalous situation. If you remember, at one time, Rawalpindi used to be the capital of Pakistan. And then Islamabad was built. So the capital shifted over there. So for India to say that it refuses to accept the Islamabad as the capital would have been absolutely stupid. So all the countries accepted it and moved their embassies to the capital. Bangladesh became a country in 1971 and made Dhaka its capital. Pakistan and a number of other countries did not recognize Bangladesh. But it would have been absolutely stupid if they had recognized Bangladesh and sent their ambassador and then said, no, we don't accept Dhaka as a capital because Dhaka was a capital of East Pakistan. So we'll have Sylhet or any other city as capital and we'll have our embassy over there. Now, as far as the host country is concerned, it's immaterial. If any country wants to have its embassy, say in India, say in Faridabad and Gurgaon, the adjoining cities, India would have no problem. Thirdly, the location of the embassy is a primary concern of two countries, the host country and the guest country, the country which sends its embassy. Others have no right, or to use a legal term, no loci standi to interfere. It's a bilateral relationship. I accept, for example, this place as my home. My neighbor may have a property dispute with me the way Palestine has a dispute with Jerusalem. But he has no right to object to a guest coming to my house. And the embassies are the guests. Palestine can object, and that's all. But who the hell gave permission to United Nations to say that they reject or suspend the order of the President of USA, a legal order which only confirmed the Act of Congress of 1995 after a lapse of 22 years? And are they so powerful that they can supersede the Act of Parliament and an action of President? It is just like saying that India is building Sabah port in Iran. Now they are angry with Iran. They say, we do not accept India's right to build that port. Pakistan could have said it, but they were not as stupid as UNO is. So they accepted it. When China was building Gwadar, nobody objected to it. Because that's between the two countries, a bilateral issue. And in case the bilateral issue is being negotiated by two in good faith, the third country which has a dispute about the ownership of the city, Palestine, that is not a country, that is not a state, it's a group, it's a non-state actor, which Palestine has permitted to exist. The day Palestine wants, it can choke off Israel wants, it can choke off Palestine. So the whole thing is a farce. And these 14 countries gang up and say that the UNO suspends the operation of the Act of Congress and the order of the President, shows two things. A, it shows the imperialistic attitudes of the United Nations, which are hegemonistic, and they impinge on the nationality and the sovereignty of USA. If it was not USA, it was a smaller country which had done that, even that country would not have accepted this absolutely eccentric, illegal, and hegemonistic order. United Nations is not World Bank. Let's say World Order Code, is not one word government in the world. And United Nations is an organ created by all the countries who are signatories of the UN Charter. But nowhere have they bartered their sovereignty. United Nations or the Security Council cannot sit in judgment on the orders of acts of Congress or the President's order. Now, if in case it really wanted to interfere, when the Act of Congress was passed in 1995, why was it shut, keeping its mouth shut? Why did it not protest? It kept quiet for 22 long years. The problem is only that some of the countries cannot accept Trump's action in ensuring that America would be and continue to look after its own interest. Trump believes in nationalism, the way Modi believes, the way Abe believes, and strong nationalism, and he doesn't want to dilute it. And United Nations, under the impact of certain countries, although the largest funder is USA, has taken this step which is out of tune. Now this is basically a question of legal interpretation. Does UNO have a right to order a country or interfere in the internal affairs of that country? If that is so, then the concept of sovereignty, as enunciated by Austin long back, goes away, it withers away. The concept of nation states is replaced by one-word government and hegemonistic attitude of the majority of the members of the Security Council. That is not acceptable to any nation, would not be. Try telling Putin to stop oppressing Chechnya. Try telling China not to punish Uyghurs. They would be rebuffed with impunity, and what Nikki Haley said was a very correct ripsody to this illegal, uncalled for, unwarranted action of UNO. Let UNO realize that in case it wants to exist, it has to be arbitrator. It has to be honest broker. Let it not try to become a ruler. That will not be acceptable by any country. Thank you.